Lately, you may have found yourself wondering why certain numbers keep appearing in your life. Not loudly, not dramatically, just in very small moments. When you glance at the clock and see a familiar time. When you hold a receipt in your hand and suddenly feel your chest soften, just a little. Sometimes they appear in dreams, half awake, half asleep. Sometimes they are only a brief glance, here for a second, then gone. But for Pisces, those moments are never empty. They carry a quiet feeling, something personal, as if someone gently placed a hand on your shoulder, light enough not to startle you, but real enough that you cannot ignore it. Pisces is the sign of intuition, of subtle vibrations most people overlook. You do not experience the world only through logic. You feel it through your heart, through deep emotional layers within you. That is why, when these numbers appear, they do not come as warnings. They are not here to test your faith. They arrive like a whisper, a soft reminder that an invisible thread still connects you to a love that never disappears. Your father may no longer be present in the form you once knew. He no longer sits beside you, speaking simple words, or watching quietly from a distance. But love does not vanish. It only changes the way it shows up. And for Pisces, your father's soul chooses to speak through signs that are gentle and incredibly subtle, because this is a language you can understand without explanation. Those numbers are like small stones placed along the path you are walking. They do not force you to stop. They simply remind you that you are not walking alone. There are moments when you feel tired, when doubt creeps in, when you quietly blame yourself for not doing enough, not saying enough, not finding the right words in time. And it is often in those moments that the numbers appear again, not to reopen old pain, but to hold you silently, as if someone is telling you that what was unfinished is not a burden you must carry forever. You loved with everything you had at that time, and that was enough. Pisces often forgets just how strong they truly are. You are gentle, but not weak. You are sensitive, yet deeply resilient. These signs arrive to remind you of your own worth, to let you know that the path you are on is not a mistake. It is a journey being watched over with understanding and quiet protection. Each number is like a breath, a pause, a moment where you stop, listen inward, and allow yourself to trust a little more. When you begin to notice these small moments, you realize that life is more than what appears on the surface. There are invisible things that are profoundly real, things that support you when you feel close to breaking. And from that gentle awareness, a calm slowly spreads, like morning light slipping through a narrow window. Not blinding, just enough to warm you. And then, in that quiet space, something inside you begins to shift. Not urgently, not loudly. Just a soft knowing that you may finally be ready to understand these signs more deeply. Not only as comfort, but as guidance. Opening doors you once did not dare to look directly at. Because some truths are not avoided because they hurt too much. They are avoided because if we see them clearly, we know we will be forced to change. Pisces understands this feeling better than anyone. You are used to enduring in silence, used to calming yourself with very small comforts, used to moving forward even when your heart still carries questions with no clear answers. And it is in that fragile in-between space that the numbers appear. They do not rush you, they do not pressure you. They simply remain there, patient, like a dim light late at night, just bright enough to keep you from losing your way. Each number carries its own vibration, its own emotional tone. Some numbers bring an unexpected sense of safety, as if everything will be okay, even when life still feels scattered. Other numbers appear right when you are standing at an important decision. Your chest tightens for a moment, then softens, as if something is reassuring you that you do not need to be afraid. And then there are numbers that carry a feeling difficult to name, warm yet aching, like a quiet apology arriving late, not to reopen pain, but to heal a space that has been empty for far too long. Your father does not use words, because some things, when spoken aloud, become too heavy. Instead, the message is delivered through repetition, through patience, through appearing exactly when you need it most, as if someone truly understands you. Even the moments when you look strong on the outside, but inside long to lean on something steady. Those numbers confirm that the path you are walking is not a mistake, that the choices you once doubted are quietly leading you to where you are meant to be. You may have wondered at times whether you are imagining too much, but the peace that settles in each time you notice these signs cannot be faked. It arrives slowly, genuinely, and stays long enough for you to take a deeper breath. It is the feeling of being protected without being controlled, without interference, simply standing behind you, allowing you to become yourself freely while never being alone. And when you begin to listen with your heart instead of trying to analyze everything with logic, the messages grow clearer, not as direct instructions, but as a gentle inner alignment. You find yourself calmer during change, less doubtful of your own worth, more willing to believe that you deserve the good things finding their way to you. The numbers do not tell you what to do. They remind you who you are and why you have made it this far. In that quiet calm, a new trust begins to form. Trust in your own intuition. Trust that real love is not separated by time or distance. Trust that every sign arrives with a kindness behind it, enough to help you keep moving forward with a lighter heart, and your eyes gently lifted toward the path ahead, where what once felt unclear is slowly taking shape, in a way that belongs only to Pisces. And within that quiet trust, an old emotional layer begins to be touched naturally, not through loud memories or images that pierce the heart, but through a feeling that is familiar and very deep, like standing by the ocean at sunset, listening to the steady rhythm of the waves and suddenly feeling your chest soften. There are sorrows you have carried for so long that they started to feel like part of who you are. You became used to living with regret, used to wondering if things would have been different if you had spoken differently that day, stayed a little longer, or found just a bit more courage. Pisces often keeps these questions private, not because they do not hurt, but because you do not want to place that weight on anyone else. And it is in those fragile moments that the numbers appear again. When you are alone in a familiar room, when your heart feels suddenly empty, even though you are not surrounded by absence, when an old memory returns without warning, they do not awaken sorrow. They feel more like a gentle hand resting on your chest, reminding you to slow your breath, as if someone is telling you that you do not need to hold tightly to the past to prove how deeply you loved. Real love does not demand endless suffering, and pain is not the only way to remember. Some wounds do not need to be examined or clearly named. They only need to be acknowledged gently. And Pisces is standing at exactly that moment, when the heart has matured enough to understand that letting go is not forgetting. It is allowing yourself to become lighter. The repeating numbers feel like steady knocks, patient, even. They remind you that the old cycle has completed its purpose. You have learned enough, loved enough, hurt enough. No lesson was missed, no emotion was meaningless. You may notice yourself crying more easily lately. That is not weakness, it is a sign of melting, of long-held defenses slowly being released. You may sleep more deeply, or you may lie awake some nights, but without panic. You may begin to look at the past with different eyes, less harsh toward yourself, less resentful of what could not be changed. All of these small shifts are quiet proof that an inner door is closing gently. Pisces often fears that if the pain fades, if the longing softens, the love for those who have passed will somehow disappear. But the truth is, love does not live in tears or self-punishment. It lives in how you continue to live, in how you treat yourself with more kindness, and how you extend that kindness to others. The numbers arrive to remind you that you are allowed to live fully, to smile without guilt, to move forward without carrying heaviness behind you. And as the old wounds close, you begin to notice a new space, not painful, but full of potential. That space is not loss, it is room for light to enter. You start sensing what is approaching, new opportunities, new connections, choices you once hesitated to make because fear held you back. Your heart is lighter now, and when the heart is light, it can hear the quiet whispers of life. Messages no longer centered on sorrow, but on continuation, on the belief that you are being guided with deep kindness. So you may keep walking forward, with more peace in each step you take. And within this new sense of lightness, you begin to notice that something has always been there, even when you could not name it. Not a force that controls you, not an intervention that suddenly changes everything, but a quiet presence, like the shade of a tree along a road you walk every day. It does not stop you. It simply keeps you from being worn down under the midday sun. Your father never left in the way you once feared. He does not stand in front of you to give directions. He does not issue commands or warnings. This protection is far more subtle. It lives in the moments when you almost make a rushed decision, then pause at just the right time. In the times you choose a different direction because of a feeling you cannot fully explain, only to realize later it was the safest choice you could have made. Pisces often believes they live only through emotion, but rarely do you realize that your intuition is the bridge between the visible world and a much deeper guidance. There are moments when you look back and wonder why you were spared, a risk avoided by a breath, a harmful relationship leaving your life without struggle, a door closing that felt like loss, only to open later into a wider path, one that fits who you truly are. These things do not arrive to be dramatic. They come quietly, steadily, like the calm rhythm of a heartbeat inside your chest. Your father does not remove your challenges because he understands you need them to grow, but he stands there to make sure you do not carry them alone. This protection does not take away your freedom. It simply tilts the balance gently towards safety when you are about to drift too far from yourself, like a father watching his child from a distance, trusting that they are strong enough to walk on their own, yet ready to open his arms if they stumble. Pisces often feels lonely, even when surrounded by people. You are used to listening more than speaking, giving more than receiving. And sometimes, in that quiet, you wonder if anyone truly understands you at all. That is why this unseen protection does not come to prove anything. It comes so you can feel, with your heart, that there is a love that has never asked you to explain yourself or pretend to be stronger than you are. You may not see it, but you feel it. A soft sense of safety when you step outside your door. A steadiness you cannot quite name when facing major change. A quiet belief that no matter what happens, you will find your way forward. This is not recklessness. It is confidence supported from behind. As if someone is whispering, "Go ahead. This road will not betray you." And as you begin to realize that you were never truly alone, the way you see life starts to shift. You are less afraid of new crossroads. You allow yourself to try, to fail, to learn, without punishing yourself. You begin to trust that safety does not come only from what you can control, but also from knowing that a quiet source of love is watching every step you take. In that calm trust, the Pisces heart opens just a little more, not to cling to the past, but to move forward with a sense of being protected, enough to let you lift your eyes toward what is ahead. And when you slow your pace, listening to the rhythm of life around you, you begin to sense that things are being arranged quietly, leading you toward new experiences, decisions that truly matter, doors that only begin to open when you are calm enough and trusting enough to see them. And from that sense of being protected, a very subtle movement begins to unfold in your life. Not loudly, not suddenly. It feels more like underground water quietly changing direction beneath the surface. You do not wake up one morning and see everything transformed, but you notice something important. You are no longer looking at life through the same eyes. Thoughts that once felt tangled begin to arrange themselves, like opening the windows of a familiar room. The dust is still there, but it no longer blocks the light. You begin to understand more clearly what you want, and just as important, what you no longer wish to continue. Pisces has always been someone who accepts more than necessary. You once believed that endurance was part of growing up, that silence was the price of peace. But when these messages are received with awareness, you begin to see your own boundaries clearly, not rigid boundaries, but gentle clarity. You stop forcing yourself to remain in situations that cause your heart to tighten. And from that clarity, a new energy begins to flow in, soft yet steady. You may not be able to name it right away, but the first signs appear in very real, everyday ways. A financial opportunity arises, not because you worked harder than everyone else, but because you are finally ready to receive. An idea once pushed aside suddenly feels possible. A casual conversation opens a new direction. For Pisces, money has never been just numbers. It represents safety, the ability to care for yourself and for those you love. And as your inner world grows lighter, the material flow begins to find its own path. You notice that you make decisions more quickly, but without rushing. There is less hesitation, less need to ask others repeatedly for reassurance. A quiet certainty settles in, as if you are walking a path your heart agreed to long ago. And then, an important choice appears. It may not look dramatic on the outside, but inside, it is a turning point. A choice that asks you to be honest with yourself. With the deepest desires you once hid, out of fear of disappointing someone else. This is not sudden luck, and it is not a random reward. It feels more like a door that has always been there. You simply did not have enough peace to see it before. Now, as old wounds have closed, as you understand that you are protected and no longer need to struggle so hard, that door begins to open on its own. It does not push you forward, it does not rush you, it simply invites you, with the quiet feeling that the time has come. Pisces does not need to become someone else to cross this threshold. You only need to be yourself, but a version of yourself with less fear, less doubt, less guilt for choosing happiness. The shift in life's current is not meant to pull you away from who you were. It is guiding you closer to your true nature, gentle yet strong. And as you stand at that doorway, in a moment of deep calm, you begin to feel that everything has been leading here. Every sign, every number, every quiet act of guidance, not to promise a perfect future, but to confirm that you are ready to step into a new chapter with a lighter heart, clearer eyes, and a deeper trust in your own life. And when you remain still long enough in that moment, without trying to grasp it, without forcing yourself to fully understand, you begin to realize something important. Your intuition was never silent. It was only covered by too much noise. Noise from fear, from responsibility, from expectations you carried on behalf of others. Pisces was never meant to walk a straight, predictable path. You were born to feel, to listen to subtle currents that not everyone can see. And because of that, you do not need to harden yourself in order to be safe. Your softness is a rare form of intelligence. The numbers do not ask you to act immediately. They do not pressure you to change your life overnight. They simply remain, steady, patient, like breathing, happening whether you notice it or not. They remind you that some things do not need logic to be real, that some guidance only needs to be felt. And in a world that constantly demands quick answers, allowing yourself to trust what you feel inside is an act of real courage. You are being loved without conditions. No one is asking you to live someone else's life. No one is demanding that you repay the past with endless sacrifice. The protection around you is not a cage. It is a wide enough space for you to choose freely, to make mistakes, to correct them, and to continue growing. You are being guided, but the path is still yours. Every step you take is respected. Even when you move more slowly than others, Pisces often forgets that they deserve peace. You give understanding easily, yet hesitate to offer it to yourself. The numbers appear to remind you that you do not need to suffer more to prove your worth. Your value has always been there, for a very long time, since the first days you learned how to love the world with your sensitive heart. And destiny is not something that forces you to become someone else. Destiny is the path that allows you to live true to that nature without fear. From today on, the outside world may not change very much. Life may continue in its familiar rhythm. But inside you, a shift has already taken place. You will be gentler with yourself. You will blame yourself less when things are not perfect. You will trust that even on the darkest days, there is a quiet light strong enough to keep you from getting lost. And when you look back at the numbers that once confused you, you will no longer see them as unanswered questions. You will see them as small markers along the way, reminders that you were accompanied throughout the journey. Life does not require you to understand everything before moving forward. It only asks that you trust enough not to stop. And when you allow yourself to live more slowly, more honestly, closer to your heart, you will realize something simple and true. What is opening before you is not a distant miracle. It is a life in the right rhythm, in the right direction, aligned with who you truly are. Pisces does not need to search for destiny far away. It has always been here, waiting for you to notice, waiting for you to step into it with gentleness, and with a quiet trust that you are exactly where you are meant to be.